Allende. That's all of it, weekdays at noon on WNYC.
You're listening to Marketplace on WNYC. In the 7 o'clock hour of All Things Considered, Ukraine calculates the agony of war in many ways. But there's also trauma that's harder to measure, a collective mental health crisis. We'll hear more about it at 7 o'clock. Stay with us.
This is Marketplace. I'm Kai Ryssdal. In about 10 days, we're going to mark 60 years since the March on Washington. More properly, the March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. Dr. King's speech is the historical marker of the social and economic dreams that Black Americans had that day. But the present day reality is that we're still a long ways away. A new report, though, does show that in the last half century, subsidized employment programs have helped get and keep Black Americans in the labor force and so improved their economic well-being. Callie Grant is the Associate Director at Georgetown Law's Center on Poverty and Inequality, also an author of that report. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thanks so much for having me, Kai.
For those who are unfamiliar, what exactly are subsidized employment programs?
Yeah, so subsidized employment is basically when the government is subsidizing part or all of a worker's wages for a set period of time, while also providing on-the-job training and other what we call wraparound supports like transportation and childcare assistance.
Right. And who mostly is the target audience, the target client, the target employees, I guess, for these kinds of jobs?
Yeah, so even when we have low national unemployment rates, there's still a swath of workers in the country who are chronically structurally excluded from the labor market. And these workers typically have, some barriers to employment. They could live in communities where there's been deindustrialization, disinvestment, and discrimination related to the legacy of redlining and other policies. And so, they're living in pockets of persistent unemployment. And what subsidized employment does is it creates jobs that target workers in underinvested communities and creates jobs that wouldn't exist otherwise.
So you have this report out this month, I believe it is, right? August. It's an update on a prior report from 6 or 7 years ago about lessons learned from 50 years of these subsidized employment programs. In a nutshell, because it's only a half an hour program, what have we learned about these kinds of programs?
Yeah, so the evidence is really clear. Subsidized employment works. There are big anti-poverty effects. It boosts workers' earnings and employment rates. We've even found that it's improved worker and family well-being. It also decreases criminal legal system involvement, and there are just a lot of positive ripple effects for communities.
Okay, so with the observation that the national unemployment rate now is 3.5%, the Black unemployment rate in this economy right now in July was 5.8%. For the past 50 years, the Black unemployment rate has been, give or take, double what it is overall. The question has to be, do these employment programs work?
Yes, they do. We have over 50 years of evidence showing that subsidized employment models do work. They've been implemented all over the country at the state, local, and national level, and have brought a ton of really positive results for workers in their communities. A lot of people don't know, but so this August is the 60th anniversary of the March for Jobs and Freedom, and a lot of folks don't know that as part of that, Dr. King was calling for a national employment program that would reach all workers and make sure they all have access to economic opportunities.
Let me dig into that for a little bit, because in the last 3 or 4 years, we've done a bunch of work on this program about Black women specifically, and how centering Black women in the economic conversation will bring benefits for all. First of all, because they are usually the most underprivileged in the economic workforce, but also because they are the mainstay of their families. And so I guess my question is, when you get women in these jobs, the subsidized employment jobs, I imagine, it's not really a question, it's a statement. I imagine the benefits extend broadly through the family and through that entire sort of social infrastructure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, subsidized employment, it works because it's really holistically addressing the needs of workers who have been experiencing these persistent barriers to employment. Like, for example, not being able to afford childcare, which would then allow someone to get and maintain a job. And so it kind of interrupts that cycle. And yeah, the impacts are so widespread for workers participating in them.
Callie Grant, she's the Associate Director at the Georgetown Law Center's Center on Poverty and Inequality. Callie, thanks a lot for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thrifting, where you go digging around in your local secondhand clothing store looking for forgotten treasures, has become a preferred method of stocking one's closet, as well as something of a hobby, especially for Gen Z. According to the resale site ThreadUp, secondhand apparel sales grew 5 times faster this year than the conventional clothing market did, and 2 out of every 5 items of clothing in Gen Zers' wardrobes are now secondhand. For enthusiasts, thrifting and reselling has become a business in itself, and it can get pretty creative, as you will hear now in this installment of our series, My Economy.
My name is Isabella McMinn. I'm the owner of Secondhand by Bella, and I create style bundles and resell thrifted clothes. A style bundle is a bunch of thrifted items that match a person's Pinterest board. So someone might be looking for a style that is more preppy, and I'll go out and find that for them in their size and really try and stick with the style to kind of add to their wardrobe. In February of 2022, I went to Arkansas with my mom, and we were thrifting, and I found just so many items that I wanted for myself but wouldn't fit or weren't quite my style. And I just had this idea. I'd been thinking about it for a while to kind of open my own business with the stuff that I already had, and it really turned into something a lot bigger with the support from the community around me, and become something that I'm able to do a lot more often than I was before. I had an influencer reach out to me about a month ago, and she asked for a style bundle. She posted a TikTok about it, and a bunch of people found me through her page and now have been requesting style bundles out until February. I had to close off my orders until then because I had just so many. I started being able to do what I kind of opened the business for, which was creating style bundles and styling people. And so it's been a really great progression from feeling like this is only ever going to be a side hustle to actually the possibility of it turning into a career, which is really cool. Right now I have 2 weeks left, and then I will be officially done with my bachelor's degree. I went to UNR, University of Nevada, Reno, and I got my bachelor's in business management, or I'm getting my bachelor's in business management. It has really helped me understand the math of things. I keep my books really clean, and I know exactly when I made a sale and when I did it. And so while I hated my accounting classes, they were very helpful. I get really excited about making bundles that are kind of out of the box. I think clothing is something really personal, and it's something that shows your creativity. So I really love just the relationships that I've created with these people, even though they're just through Instagram or through the screen, I guess. I feel like I kind of get to know them a little bit by shopping for them. So it's just a really fun thing that I am so happy that I get to do.
Isabella McMinn, style bundling in Reno, Nevada. Whatever you are wearing, wherever you are, let us know how things are going, would you? Marketplace.org/myeconomy. This final note on the way out today, in which reports of the death of the all-you-can-eat buffet turn out to have been greatly exaggerated. Saw this in Fortune magazine. Conventional wisdom had been that standing shoulder to shoulder with strangers, forking food onto your plate from a common trough, was not going to survive the pandemic. Au contraire, buffet restaurants took in $5.5 billion last year. That is a 9% jump from a year earlier.
Marketplace is supported by Domo, the data experience platform innovator that puts data to work for everyone so they can multiply their impact on the business. More at domo.com. And by Amazon Business, helping provide a smarter, easier way to get the supplies businesses need to thrive. Amazon Business, your partner for smart business buying.
All right, we're going here, though. Of course, is your moment of economic context. This one is a tidbit from the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco. You know all that consumer spending that's been keeping the economy going for the past couple of years? Well, yeah, about that. In some new research, the San Francisco Fed says it figures all the excess savings we built up during the pandemic, whether by just not buying stuff or by government relief programs, all that is going to be used up this quarter, which is to say by October. So we end where we started with Jay Powell following the data. John Buckley, John Gordon, Rick Carr, and Diantha Parker, Amanda Peacher, and Stephanie Seek are the Marketplace editing staff. Amir Bawe is the managing editor. I'm Kai Rizdal. We will see you tomorrow, everybody. This is 8 p.m.